Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Can you give us a very brief rundown of what your role is in Ashen Crown?
That's an interesting question. Okay, so basically, I'm just the screamy frontman guy. Write the lyrics, help out with general duties like not helping loading in, the usual vocalist stereotypes. But no, I do my part. I help out. I help book gigs along with our management, Fat Angel.
Okay.
Yeah, I help get that. I do most of the PR, as you probably know.
Yeah. Well,
It's
you
not just
are
memes,
very active on social media.
Yeah, it's not just the memes, but just a bit of everything, concept writing and stuff. Because the guys, they don't have a lot of time to sit down and think about stuff because they're all very busy with high end jobs and wives and kids. So so I've got the most free time since I'm I've only got a partner, no kids. My job's pretty low maintenance, so it's easy for me to do it. And also, I suppose the main thing is I've got the will and I want to do it.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, they'll see something and be like, right, I don't know how to tackle that. Where I'll be like, right, I'm gonna get into this. I like challenges, I suppose.
So what you set yourself a goal when it comes to writing music, you're kind of like, okay, I want to focus on this, and I have a time limit, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's good to have small arbitrary time limits. They're not in stone, but it's good to have that by the end of this week I want to get this song written, or at least the concept and at least the lyrics, or at least some sort of ideas or theme or concepts that I want to tackle and musically as well how I think they should go. So for example, I'm writing a song at the moment which is called Infallible, which is all about it's off the new album, so there's a little bit of a sneak in there. So it's all about how the individual to deny the reality around them, to never take responsibility for their effect to their friends and family and themselves as well.
Okay.
So it's a bit about willful ignorance as well, but it's how you are infallible. You're not wrong. You're on your right path and you are carving it through no matter what. So it's got a bit of a double edge to it. So in a way it's a negative, but in a way it's positive because it's faith within yourself. But where does it become regressive?
I always find it interesting when you kind of break down your style of music to its lyrical content or its themes, because to a lay person, a person that doesn't like metal, and you press play, they're just gonna hear what they think is negativity, hatred, anger, you name it.
It's just oh wow, peaceful. This is so peaceful.
You do tend to cover quite, I guess, wide-ranging topics, going off the last album as well, religion, politics, day-to-day ideologies. Is that where most of your inspiration comes from?
I believe so, because our band is built up of different generations. So I'm 28. My guitarist is just hitting his 50s. My other guitarist just hit his 40s. Our drummer's in his 40s, and Phil is also, I think he's about a year younger than me. So we've got those different experiences. We're all born in different generations, really, apart from Phil. So it's really interesting to see all those things we grow up with individually, and social norms and societal things we take for granted. Yeah. Politeness, manners, respect, and things like that. Also, it comes down to our judo, Abraham religion based on morality in our society. Because a lot of people forget that our morality in this country is based off Judeo-Christian Abraham religion. A lot of people forget that. So it's how those norms have now blended in with all the other cultures and societal norms, and the internet as well is a very powerful tool. I think it's a very interesting mix in regards of inspirations and influences. Because my background is Irish Roman Catholic, so it's a very a lot of my lyrics will have that theme of entity, God, spirituality and stuff, but it would be I suppose attached to things in our society that we would deem as God. So for example, in this one, I would say I guess a modern day God would be the internet.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the all seeing, the all hearing, the all revealing internet.
And we all worship it, yeah.
Exactly, right. But like, it's pretty much how we've changed as a society. We are turning away from religion to the truth, which is the infinite, vast knowledge of the internet, which is facts and misinformation. It's crazy. It's a crazy time. Yeah, but yeah, I digress. But
oh no, that's fascinating. It's people will want to hear a detailed. Without kind of tarring everyone with the same brush, there's a lot of modern bands who are covering these politics, religion,
yes.
From a modern standpoint. So people, I think, want to know a little bit more about this. All good and proper saying, hey, this album is themed on religion, an anti-Christian theme or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? That's kind of what you want to know.
Yeah, I don't like it when there's that vague sort of just like, oh yes, this is anti-religion. I'm like, okay, anybody can do that. Like, what are you saying? Like, the thing is, there's nothing being said now that hasn't already been said. You know, like it's very difficult to, I guess, bring a new perspective towards an anti-religious stance.
Yeah,
a very controversial one as well is that you know, if we're going to be anti-establishment, anti-rhetoric, anti-brainwashing, you know, all that sort of thing, then we need to give them it all equal opportunity to express that. So it's all religion, not just Christianity, and that is a very sensitive subject.
Yes, absolutely. You are right on that. So, being from the UK and with our political situations over here, how much of that influenced the writing of the last album, and how much of it is seeping into the new album?
Well, the last album as well. I'll give a little backstory to that because make the question a bit easier to understand. So the term obsolescence, which is about obsolete ideologies, as you picked up, and things that we want to leave in the past. It also it's obsolete ideologies of the band as well, or writing direction generally. So essentially, this album will become obsolete to us. We will never probably end up playing anything on it in the future. So that's the point. It was like, we built up to this point, and now we're going to leave the rest behind. In regards of writing, it's the same sort of thing. Like, we went into the first album with this sort of ideology of like, right, we want to move forward as people and grow as a group as well, as a band, and become friends and have our relationship that we have. And we also want to express how we feel about what's happening at that, in the past like 10 years. So for me, there was a few songs of that. So Guilty of Hatred, that one particularly is about the rhetoric, political brainwashing that we had for the past 10 years. Yeah. Now, whoever it was done by, it still happened. Left, right, what doesn't matter. There was a lot of brainwashing. There was a lot of misinformation. So Guilty of Hatred was spawned from that. It probably hence why it has a bit of a punkier vibe than the rest of the songs. But there's a few lyrical lines in it. Being attaching towards the aspects of hatred towards each other with no real reason apart from ideology or identity as well. Like, I identify as left wing, so I must hate anything that isn't left wing. Of course. And it got so bad, and and the right is just there doing the trolley crap and not taking anything seriously. Yeah. What I found is that the difference between left and right was incredible responsibility, lack of responsibility. I found that a lot as well, and that's where that song came from. Okay. As well as Under the Leaves as well, which is particularly a grim song. That one's about accepting powerlessness and just allowing things to happen that you don't want. So for this one, it would have been Brexit and all things like that. I didn't want Brexit, and the main reason because I'm a musician. Why would I want Brexit? Yeah, it doesn't seem a good thing in any sense. Because when the whole Brexit vote came out, I was like, right, I'm going to look into this. Right, I don't know enough information to make an informed decision. I'll vote no for now, and then if someone can come up with a good argument in the meantime, then we'll look at it again. Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't get that kind of measured response, but that's life.
It is now, unfortunately.
And also in regards of the UK's political climate, so you've got a lot of regression a lot of regression and a lot of progression at the same time. You know, I mean, gay marriage was legalized within the past 10 years.
Yeah.
That's something that's weird, isn't it? To me, that's a weird thing because I thought it already was.
Yeah, you kind of
what I mean?
just think you're absolutely right. When you even said it, I'm like, wait, has he got that right? I presumed it's been like that way since the 70s, but no, you're right.
No, absolutely. Like David Cameron was just there, like, oh yes, you know, we were doing really bad in the polls. What should we do? Gay marriage, that doesn't affect us. We'll just get that out. We'll get that out the boot. The problem is, it didn't work, Mr. Cameron. You were not forgiven. But it was more an eventuality. It doesn't matter who did it. It was just going to happen the way, just because common sense.
Of course.
But it's crazy, isn't it? Thinking that in the last 10 years, the UK, which is supposed to be some sort of political and social leader of the world, you know, just recently legalized it.
Yeah.
In the past, this is recent.
Yeah. I mean, you can go across the pond to Ireland and stuff about abortion and things like that for how a modern Western country hasn't quite caught up as quickly as you would think.
Right?
Yeah.
I think one of the main the problems that we have is our self-perception as a country and a culture. See, the song "The Blood Beneath Us" is actually about that. It's about superiority and thinking that you're better than others. That song's about bigotry and racism and things, you know, stuff like that. So it's about feeling superior and everything's below you because you are a different blood or you're a different lineage or whatever. The stereotype of, you know, the stiff upper lip Tommy, you know, crack hoe and all that, and we won 2 wars ideology is something that is, and this is crazy, is widely like rhetoric. That's a lot of people think like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just this sort of identity thing, because they, you know, these people are a bit nomadic these days in this country. We don't really know what we're doing, who we are. You know, I guess you got trouble near you too.
Unfortunately, I live. My route leads towards a police station, so you often get that scream of sirens every so often.
Yeah, I'm right next to a fire station myself, so I know, it's like, God damn it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How much of all of this, or what's currently going on, do you think is going to influence, or are you using influences for new music?
Well, the direction for the new album, for me, the guys have seemed to have really liking the ideas that I've been coming up with, is the fear and the aspect of loss. So it's things that you can't control that will come out of your grasp. You would lose friends, family, people you know, rights, liberties, things we take for granted. You know, it's going to be encompassing all the things that, you know, we have lost or going to lose, and the fear of losing them. So to quote my guitarist, he says, the fear I have when my son goes to the city is undescribable, and he says it's irrational, but it's not at the same time. That moment, that emotion, that indescribable emotion, is what we want to capture in one of our songs. Okay. It's already coming very. It's a very sinister, a very unpleasant song, and it's definitely a bit visceral and cathartic. So I'm really looking forward to playing that one.
Yeah, it conjures up an image, it really does. If I didn't know your sound, I'd be like, well, that's got to be a 15-minute doom epic, right?
Exactly, right? So it's something that builds and builds and builds, and it's like the creeping fear, and then it just ends up just exploding and spiraling out of control. So I can't wait for that one. That's going to be epic. But it's really good to have these sorts of concepts and ideas down, I think, going into new material. The whole Brexit scenario and the political climate definitely has affected some of the songs. I know it sounds a bit dramatic, but when Brexit was voted in, I remember going, "This is never going to go through," and now here we are. So it was like, there's me just assuming the leading society of common sense and righteousness in the world, in some ideology, you know. And then I was just like, oh, great. Okay, so wow, that was right. Okay.
Yeah.
I it's not like I felt hurt. It's hard to explain. I felt betrayed, I guess. You know, it's like this. It's not that like, oh, I didn't get my way. It's not about what I want. It's about what I know. Yeah. What I know is that there is no positives from this. None.
It's
And that's distressing, and it's sad. It's like, oh God, well, that's great.
I've got to the stage where I barely even want to talk about it anymore because it's become such a poisonous subject. While I am grateful for inspirations that can provide artists and things like that, ultimately, the loss of everything else, and like I said, it's become such a poisonous subject, dividing friends, families, and stuff. It's hard. And as you say, we're in a situation now where it's happening, so we kind of just have to get on with it.
Yeah, like we have to make the best of a bad situation at this point. Yeah. I think what the most important thing, and I've got a song about this as well, is that we need to repair our humanity. Because I think in the UK we've become so not just divided, aggressively divided. Yeah. Like it's almost like civil war here sometimes. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's really true. Like I remember after Brexit happening, after the general election, after the vote and stuff, I remember going, "Why in the hell has anyone voted Tory?" I couldn't get it. This was a moment of, I guess, like my intolerance here, and I was just there, like, "Why would anyone do this?" And then I remember walking around like a day after in town, and I saw all these smug, middle-aged and older generation people not looking pissed off. Not looking happy. And I remember thinking, you voted Tory, didn't you? And that is regressive, what I did there. I thought that was bad. I was like, I don't know these people. I don't know who they voted for and why.
Yeah.
And, and that's the thing. And I had that moment of just that, like, that feeling of not like anger, but just disdain for someone I didn't know.
Yeah. It's not a good feeling.
No, it's not. And I absolutely was like, no, this is ridiculous. I can't feel like this. And then I kind of whipped myself in shape. I was like, no, I can't get a grip. And that emotion, that feeling and that behavior, what I've just described, is the majority of the country right now.
Yeah.
How they're feeling. I've seen so many, like, do you remember the OK Boomer stuff?
Of course.
Like, it was funny a little, but it did start to get a bit like, you can't tar entire generations with that brush. That's not fair. Like,
yeah. Well, that's what it's become. It's become a belief that a certain generation, a certain age group would have voted for this because fuck the kids. And it's interesting. You talked earlier on at the start of this interview about the generational gaps in your own band.
Yes.
So, but clearly you must be all on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of disproves it immediately.
Exactly right. So this is the thing, and this is my anecdotal experience, which is then, going against the general rule of thumb, I suppose, on the internet and generally. This behaviour mostly comes from the left wingers, and that's the reality. And it's regressive, and it makes you look childish. And unfortunately, it's reinforced that narrative that you're just a bunch of snowflake crybabies, and you don't like it when you don't get your way. So the thing is, I've been left wing my entire life. My family have always been left wing, but like, during the whole Blairite crap, like, we were very anti-Blairite. Like,
okay.
So, like, my family were like, "Oh, don't like Tony Blair." Anyone that takes you into a war you never asked for is definitely someone you're not going to like. It's as simple as that. Either way, I digress. But yeah, in regards to the band, this was an interesting one actually. I bet mention this. So one of my band members, he has a house and things like that. So in the general election, he was there like, right, I'm going to buy this house. It's going to be worth a certain amount of money, and I want to pass it to my kids. Obviously, in the Labour manifesto, there was an inheritance tax thing, and it was up to 2 children. It was 250,000 or something more. Then would have to pay a tax on it. Yeah. That was almost a stipulation where he wouldn't have even voted because of that one thing.
Yep.
And that proves that just because, Mr. Corbyn may have been right about a lot of things, doesn't mean that the manifesto would have benefited everybody. And that's the thing. It's not about, that for the many, blah, 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 not the few. And I'm like, well, no, not quite. It's for half the country and then the other half. Yeah, there was definitely a misunderstanding on what for the many meant. It meant for, like, the many people in the country, but then there's a lot of people that have investments that are already struggling to keep hold of those investments they've earned and worked for. And they felt like it was being taken from them.
Yeah.
So that was one way it massively swung the votes in that regard.
You can't get annoyed with people for wanting to protect their investments, their lives, absolutely, what they've built.
But absolutely. But what happened was that I spoke to my guitarist. I went, actually, Look at the manifesto. It says blah blah blah. You've only got 2 kids, so it doesn't apply. If you had 1 kid, you would have to pay the thingy tax, and then that swayed the vote. Yeah. So it was just that little information difference, because the scaremongering, it was like, oh, they're going to steal your money, and it's like, no, not quite.
But that's the culture of misinformation that you mentioned at the very start on social media and so on.
Right.
So how does, I got to ask you, how does an eclectic group of ages, generations, actually get together? How did you guys create Ashen Crown?
It's a weird one. So basically, Steve started the band, our rhythm guitarist. He used to be in a few bands before, and then he started out in Birmingham. He was like, I just want to start like a bit of an old school but modern take on death metal. And then he come across his friend Chris McGrath, who's our first drummer. And then he just found Jay, our lead guitarist. It just sort of like plopped together. No, we didn't really know each other. It just sort of all plopped together. And then they found Phil after he was in another band. Then he left that band, and then he was free for a bit. Someone recommended him. I can't remember who. And then I saw an ad on Facebook. Someone I know as well was like, I think he liked the Ashen Crown page. And then I saw him comment on the Ashen Crown status saying, "Oh, looking for a permanent vocalist, etc." So I was like, "Oh, I'm looking for a band. I've only just started doing vocals. Yeah, I'm up for that. Yeah, I'll have a go. I mean, because I was still learning, I was still practicing and getting better. So I went into it absolutely expecting nothing really. So I turned up 9 hours early because I forgot.
Wait, 9?
Yeah, I thought you meant 9 in the morning, not 9 at night. So I was obviously very eager, which is always a good impression from the start. So turned up, I was like, yeah, it's great, I'm gonna have a good time, right? So did the thing. I already pre-recorded a demo idea before I even went in.
Okay.
So I sent that to them before I went, so they knew what I was going to do when I came, so they would know how to play it.
Yep.
Which they said was already a plus already, because I took that initiative. And then went in, did the rehearsal, etc., etc. They absolutely were just like, yeah, you, it's you, perfect. Like,
wow.
This is exactly what we want. Someone with a bit of range, good fun, like high energy, confident, just straight in sort of thing. So I was really, really chuffed with it. I didn't expect to actually get it, to be honest, because I was still learning.
Yeah.
So it was really, really cool. And that's how it all just kind of plopped together, really. It was just a bit of no one really knew each other, and it just kind of slotted together. And I would say consider them to be some of my closest friends now.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Of course. And we have a new drummer as well,
okay.
Mike, who Chris did a lot for us, and we're very grateful for him. Mike just slotted in perfectly. Like, he brought a new dynamic to it. He brought, I guess, a bit more of an anal approach to it. Like, he was more meticulous, a bit more regimented. He'd write a graph out for a song, for example.
Oh.
Yeah. We were like, wow, you're staying.
That's so fascinating. So, the underground of the UK, it's a difficult place to be. How are you finding it living within that world, from having to effectively have jobs, fund your shows, basically the modern world of music? How are you surviving in it?
Yeah, it's interesting because this is my first band. I've never been in a band, so I didn't really know what to expect. So this is a good question for me, because it's been a complete learning curve for the past couple of years. So when I joined the band, I had no gear, no equipment, nothing. I had like a basic SM58 that I got off my mate secondhand. Okay. So that, for me, my expenses as a vocalist is never really very high. It's like, 80, 90 quid, done. Microphone, done. So I went in, and then all the guys have this expensive gear, and they've already been in bands before, and they've got their jobs around it, and they've all organised it. And there's just me going, cool, this is new. What I discovered was within that first couple of months that I joined them, from December 2016 till about February, was not only was I had to bite the most humblest pie I could and listen to all advice and criticism that I could.
Okay.
Obviously, because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, for example, when we played Metal to the Masses, we somehow won it, which I still don't understand how we did.
Really?
Because we just started. Like, we only had 2 gigs under our belt at that point, and then we played Metal to the Masses, and then we played Bloodstock on our 9th gig ever as a band, and it's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
But during that entire process, I had to take everything in, like all information from all my peers and people that have been in the scene for a long time. So, like, for example, at the Metal to the Masses finals, Simon Hall himself was just like, dude, yeah, I know you're new to this and blah blah blah, but he's you to make less jokes on stage and stuff, be a bit more, just like he said, your sound is a bit more, you got to be like, which he was right. It is a bit more sincere and more serious, but my nervous disposition in regards of when I'm feeling comfortable is to make jokes.
Okay.
So if I'm uncomfortable, I'll make a joke.
Right.
It's how my coping mechanism if I'm uncomfortable. It's very rare I'm uncomfortable though, like very rare these days. But for obviously just getting into that and meeting all these very established figures in the metal scene, the underground, it was quite intimidating, obviously.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be, what's the word? It's gonna be nerve-wracking. It's ultimately gonna be that you're gonna have such expectations on you to a certain level, and ultimately you don't want to suffer the embarrassment / humiliation of, this isn't working out. Off you go.
I mean, you will have those moments every now and then where you'll be like, am I good at what I do?
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, it can even come from the smallest thing. You can comments online and stuff are part and parcel of it, but there might just be that one that digs a little deeper, or a review that kind of gets a little bit mean.
Yeah, there's been a few incidences. So I'm not particularly a person that makes a big fuss online. I won't really make massive statuses,
Right.
saying anything too political or statements and things like that. I never really do. I'm more of a person talker. I like to talk in person about stuff. I think Facebook really should be, whatever you want it to be, obviously. But I think Facebook should just be, sharing things and talking and stuff. Making massive pontificating statuses about, things you've half researched is never going to end well.
Yeah.
Because there'll be someone who knows more than you, and then you've got to bite humble pie and accept that they know more than you, or be an arse and, see your arse and your ego takes over. I see it all the time on Facebook, and see band members doing it. It's like, I'm just there going, oh my God, stop.
Yeah.
Like, for example, there was a band, I'm not going to name them, obviously, but there was a band I saw, they're on their actual Facebook page themselves, making very grand virtue signaling, rhetoric, which was actually slightly false and misrepresented, but they said it in this massive statement, and I just looked at it and I cringed. I went, "Oh God!" Yeah. I just think you have no self-awareness of what you've just done here, because they're so warped in the world of Facebook and the opinion polls.
Yeah.
Oh, it just gets bad. But with the underground as well, I know it's going to sound bad. It can be very vicious. Mm-hmm. I've noticed, like, you say the wrong thing, call out culture, you're out. That's it. Like, your band's done.
Yep.
Like, you do one gig and you lose your temper or something, you're not having a good day. That will then spread around very quickly, like Chinese whispers, and then you're not getting books for gigs. There was a band that had a bit of not like an altercation, but an argument with a representative of a festival. Again, got to keep it very vague. And then they called them out publicly, and it went absolute shamble, and they've never been booked since. So, and what I've understood about the UK specifically in the underground is that so the underground, everyone knows each other. Everybody knows each other's, like, what they've said, who they've said, and why. And the beauty of the internet is that everything's permanent. So, like, you say something on the internet that, if, for example, you were in a bad state of mind, you were either depressed or angry or like that, it will follow you.
Yeah.
You can obviously you can be forgiven and understood, and as long as you understand what you've done wrong and be like, oh my God, I screwed up. Everyone screws up. No one's infallible. I think at the moment people are very unforgiving, and I think that's unfair.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very forgiving. Like, I've had bad experiences with other bands and other band members and promoters, but I've forgiven them because, it happens, like, bad days.
You're absolutely right. Unfortunately, nowadays it is very much you do one thing wrong, it follows you for the rest of your life, and forgiveness doesn't come easy. It's something I would very much love to change. Right, we've been going a while, so let's get near the end.
Yes.
Bloodstock.
Oh, God.
So, would you say to this date that's been the best show you've experienced in Ashen Crown?
God, it's indescribable. Like, it was right. So again, it was our 9th gig like I've ever played. The 9th gig I've ever played. So I'm there backstage, not knowing what I'm doing, and you've got all these like prolific characters, and you've got like people from the main stage walking around back, bands and band members who I'm there like, oh my God, that's the guy from Testament. Oh my God, and I'm there like, this is so weird. And then the crew are incredible. Like, you go in, it's all organized, it's all in this one place. They do it as quick as possible. Bang, bang. You're in, you're on, you're off. It's all allocated. And I just couldn't believe how professional and friendly they were as well. And they kept their cool. There was no stress. It was very meticulous, very experienced team in the New Blood stage.
Yeah.
We gave them all free shirts as a thank you for being so great. Like, we were just like, yeah, have shirts, guys. They were really, really cool. The weirdest moment for me, and if you ever watch the video, you'll see it, is when we start. I was just like, right, I've got 2 decisions here. 1, I'm nervous. 2, I go head on, which I did. I was just like, oh, let's go, Bloodstock.
We've got 30 minutes. You've got to make that count.
Yeah. So, and I didn't know what to do, and vocally as well, I wasn't as good as I am now. I was a bit still learning techniques and perfecting them and getting used to the songs. And some of the songs have changed now from when they were then, but like, it was absolutely crazy. And that moment when because I'm partially blind, there's just something that I don't really talk to people about it, but I am.
Okay.
It's not something that is really that relevant, really. I don't see very well. Okay. So after about 5 foot, it gets blurry and blurrier. So basically, I couldn't really see the crowd.
Okay.
Which might have helped. But I could see the front-ish row, and I could see a few people I sort of recognised, and I could definitely notice my partner because she has really colourful hair. So I was just like, right. So I just sort of like focused like that the crowd was there somewhere, and I just performed to them, which I think helped. I think.
It can be a good thing, I imagine. You've only seen the first few rows. Then there's people in the first few rows, and if it's empty back, you can't see. Yeah,
it's all good for me. I mean, if a gig is badly attended, in my brain, it's full to the brim.
Thing is, even if it's Bloodstock's New Blood stage, chances are 3/4 of the people there have never even heard of you. That's the point,
absolutely, yeah. Especially at that point. We didn't even have an album out. We had like a little EP. We had an EP to throw around, but that was it. And they were just demo tracks. Like, they're really thrown together quickly. Like, oh God, we need to do this Bloodstock.
Yeah. But the epitome of a New Blood band.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, we're just literally the New Blood. We were like, ah. But we played a great set. We're very happy with it. Nothing went wrong, which was great.
Good enough.
Because we came off stage like, wow, we pulled that off. Bloody hell. But,
have you been trying to get back?
Yes, we have missed an opportunity, and it's just fate, and it's the way it works. We because of the delay on the album, because we had to like get a new drummer and stuff, it did put us out the running for this year's Bloodstock. But hopefully we can get there next year, which is what we're aiming for. Because by then the album would have been heard by people, I guess, around the country, because we'd have been touring and stuff like that. So hopefully next year we'll bag a slot, because that's kind of our ambition. So this year we've got plenty of other gigs going on as well, loads of festivals. Like, we're playing like so many. I mean, some I can't announce yet either, but all I'm going to say is some of them I'm very excited to announce. So it's going to be very cool.
So it's going to be busy 2020, you think?
Oh yeah, oh god, yeah. Like, we've already played. We played Smash Fest. We just played the Alma, which was a new experience. I've never played the Alma before. That's in Bolton. It's quite a fun gig. It's what we would call a dive bar. You know, it's yeah, like it's dirty, it's messy, it's metal, it's kind of like what you would expect in the 80s when, you know, touring bands going around.
Cool.
It was cool. It's a cool experience because I never really experienced that. Because I went straight to stage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then we've just been playing like decent stages since then. So it was good to play the humble beginning places, and it's very fun. I like playing them.
Right, we'll wrap up then with something specific about you. You do a reaction channel, right? You want to plug that?
I do indeed. I've been doing them recently. The reason was because I do reviews and stuff as well with Rifftastic and Blessed Altar Design, which recently hired me to do their stuff for them, which is really cool. But it wasn't really a good medium for me because I'm not the best typer. I'm okay at typing, but so I thought I do watch a lot of React stuff because I like reaction channels for one pure reason: it promotes bands. Also, it's a really nice connection. You know, when you show your friend a piece of music and they're like, "Oh, I love this."
Yeah.
I like watching people I don't know have that spark, that flash of like, "Oh, wow."
Yeah.
You know, where music moves them in some way, and I absolutely love that. So I thought I would encapsulate that too with my reaction channel. But I'm primarily doing it for underground bands. Every now and then I'll do a fun one, but mostly it will be UK underground bands.
Yep. Anything particularly that you want to mention that stood out for you?
I'll tell you what. Void Lurker's new EP was fantastic.
It was, yeah.
God, I did the artwork for it as well, and the logo and the CD and their t-shirts. Like my baby. But they're absolutely fantastic, man. Beyond Salvation as well. That new record that they're releasing is, oh my god, you need to hear it like when it comes out. The new song that they released off it was fantastic as well. I've got a few. And Netherhall as well, man. Like Netherhall's new song that they released, Distant, off the new album that is absolutely stellar.
Yeah,
like it's proggy, it's carnival-y, it's got a bit of Tool elements to it, a bit of Clone to it. It's very, very good. That one
really stands out.
Oh no, absolutely. I thought it was staggeringly good.
Finally, last thing, what can people that are listening to this, what can they do to help Ashen Crown beyond the obvious? The obvious being buy.
Buy our stuff.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I have very little expectation in regards of like what people can do for me.
Right.
It's a weird one because I do a lot for the scene, but I don't expect anything in return. I mean, it's good if people do, and I'm always grateful if anyone like shares it or talks about us and stuff. I would say like if the only thing I would ask for is just to give the album a shot if you haven't heard it yet. That's the main thing because a lot of people haven't heard the album yet, and that's fine. People are busy and they've got loads of albums to get through. My mind would be just give it a shot. Yeah. You might be surprised, and if you don't like it, that's fine. but you never know.
That's the thing. Until you listen to it, you're not going to know.
Exactly right.
There you go, Kieran. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Thank you very much, dude.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/GBHBL, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?